there is a special pack going in the air right now for someone I've been told is one of the 5 greatest point guards to ever live. Someone that the analytics have tried to tell me was better than Kobe Bean Bryant in 2008. Someone that John Hollinger won't let it go. Ryan Russillo sounded like a family member died on the Bill Simmons podcast. The way he was talking about the disappointment of Chris Paul. My God. Slander time. Let's go. Fire it up. James, I was not on the show last year. I've waited 2 years for this. I've waited 2 years for tonight. Last year, I was off the show for whatever reason when they lost last year. I don't know what I was doing, but it was a solo James show. So I did not get to fire him up last year.
I don't remember this at all. But go ahead.
I did not slander him for the loss in the bubble. I figured I had respect for the way he competed that game. I liked it. I didn't want to do it to him. But this year,
lost in the bubble. Oh, with the Thunder against the Rockets?
Right. This year, yeah. Yes, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little image here. So give me just a moment on this here. And those of you that are on the podcast, I just want, just check out this final score for me real quick. I know it's backwards, but so Chris Paul came in here. I was watching these boys get smoked last night. Like, this was a goddamn like demolition. Feel free to join in with me.
Oh, I mean, they're awful. I mean, they start Ayton, Chris, and Booker all started like 1 for 50. Or no, they had like 1 for 15 in the first half. And it's like, one, how are you three only shooting 15 shots? And two, how the fuck do you only make one basket? So, yeah, it was awful. It was all-time terrible performance. Like, it's inexplicable that like a team that literally makes its offense is like one of the greatest, not one of the greatest offenses, but like one of the best offenses in the league this year, and the whole entire offense is predicated on they make all the tough shots. They take all the shots that nobody wants to give up, like, or they let their defenses give you. Like, they don't get to the free throw line a lot. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They don't get to the hoop. It's all about Booker and Chris Paul getting mid-range jumpers and long twos, and then like they just literally did nothing. And like Chris Paul had nothing. He had nothing at all. Booker, I can give Booker the excuse of, well, he's getting doubled a lot, but it's like you're a stone cold scorer. If you're a stone cold scorer, like the gravity you attracting 2 people should be enough to get other people open shots and looks, and like nothing doing. And like the crazy thing about it is like I got to the game late and I'm looking at it like they're down 5, and like they were down 5 for a minute throughout the whole first quarter. I'm like, okay, they're down 5. They're down 5. And I'm looking like, okay, well, they're not fucking scoring. They're playing defense, or they're stopping the Mavericks. I'm like, the Mavericks aren't like going nuts and making a bunch of threes like game, I think it was game 4. I'm like, okay, all right, well, their defense actually showed up this game. They're playing defense. Like, they weren't giving up like, damn near or 44 3-pointers. So I'm like, okay, they'll start scoring. And then it keeps going, and like they're not even getting like even halfway decent looks, and it's like their offense looks nothing like you've seen them ever since Chris Paul's been there. He's like, what? Not even like at times when they struggled against the Bucks last year did their offense look this lost. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm just watching Chris. I'm thinking about how Chris played throughout the whole entire series. I'm like, well, he's injured, and I'm like, but I'm not giving him the excuse that he's injured. It's like, you're injured. You're playing so bad that, like, why should we care if you're injured? Even if you are. Like, you have no juice. And quite frankly, given what happened with the Lakers series last year, he had that stinger, and, like, he couldn't dribble the ball, couldn't shoot. He was out there and, like, made the series close and was, like, literally being a liability to his team because he's being selfish and playing. I'm like, all right, Cam Payne has more juice than you right now. It's time for you to sit. And eventually they, Chris got his, was able to get Philly back and to be able to shoot later in the series, and the series is over. But it was like, yo, this is just like that series. It's just like the series, like the end of the finals, where all of a sudden, like, he has to go get hand surgery at the end of the finals. And it's like, this is like, hey man, like I know that that Chad Matthews, like he's a Chris Paul hater because like NC State guy, he punched Julius Haas in the nuts, and then also in the same game hit the fucking game winner. So like he's always gonna fucking hate that guy. I get it, but like after I think after the 2018 finals or the 2018 Western finals, like he had basically got off the hating thing, just like, well, he's just not reliable because he'll always be injured. And I was like, oh, I see. You have now changed it from he's not a crunch time player. He can't do X, Y, and Z to he's proved to you that, and now it's write him off as he's always injured. Well, what 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 years later, I'm in that camp now where it's like his play isn't the play isn't the question. It's his body always betrays him. You can't rely on that dude because his body's always betraying him. It's not the play. It's always the body. And hey, and that's just as good as you stinking up the joint by being healthy. It doesn't matter. Like if you can't get the job done, you can't get the job done. It's tragic in a way, but it is what it is. He's my second favorite active player in the league right now, still, but I can't. There's nothing to say about this. Like as many. I can point out all the great moments he's had in the postseason or whatever else. Like he's not like a James Harden situation. But
oh, we gonna get to him too?
James Harden?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he got his name the same round. Yeah, like he's not like he's a James Harden. Like this dude has had like massive fourth quarters, had great closeout games, hit game winners against former champions, all that kind of stuff. That's not the point. Like. We put him on, or not we put him on his level. His play is of a certain level of player. And when it came down to time and time again, where it's time for him to be in that situation, don't get me wrong, he's been on a lot of like funky ass teams with real roster constructions. Quite frankly, like this Suns team is like the last year's like the best like fit for him in his career ever. In years 16 and 17. But that's not the point. It's like at some point, we got to stop for the people that are Chris Paul fans like me. At some point, you got to be like, he just get the job done. And like, that's kind of where I'm on it. Like, I don't hate him or I'm not mad at him. And I don't feel like he's let me down or anything, but it's like, this was your blast shot to win the title and the door's officially closed. So like, I can't be like, well, maybe, cause I always play the cloud where like, there's gonna be time. There'll be time where the stars align. And whatever else, and then last year it happened, and then sure enough, like, nah, it didn't align. Your hand's fucking broken. Fuck you. Like, you just you never get a chance.
Look,
so there you go.
2-0 leads blown. Him and Doc Rivers, just like Kendrick Lamar, united in grief.
That's the thing. I never even realized like the being up 2-0 was like a thing until like Chris Paul apparently now. I never even knew it was a thing. Like I can't recall. Like 3-1. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. 2-0. I never even realized was a thing until just like this series. Apparently,
James. I just want to know like why did the media not this year? Why didn't they ask Devin Booker about how bad he felt for Chris Paul again?
Oh, because Booker also stomped. And that's a weird one. Like Booker had never had a bad. I think this had to be his worst playoff game. Got to be.
Yeah. Luka barbecue grilled these boys. And
that's the part that's funny is like, do you think the Mavs are good?
No.
Exactly.
No.
like I would like, especially I don't know if you followed this series closely at all, but it's like every home team, every home game except for Game 7, the home team won and it wasn't competitive by the fourth quarter. Right? They just pulled away and won by double digits and like, or at least. Or the game was out of reach, and like maybe someone got it to singles digits, but like the game that was not an indicator of how close the game was or how far apart both teams were at home. And like the things I was seeing with like the Mavs and the Suns and both of these games, like nothing ever led me to believe that like the Suns were ever going to lose this fucking series until Game 7 happened. I'm looking up and like, oh, they're done, they're cooked.
I got to watching the game late. I tuned in and it was 47-27, it was 57-27, and I was like,
so halftime.
I was like, what is going on here? And I
And
immediately,
don't be wrong, like we got to give Luka some credit. Luka had 27 in the first half; he was incredible.
Bro,
but like, it didn't. He could have had 15, and they still would have smoked them.
So check this out. So after the game ended, I watched all the post game coverage, and then like the game started over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let me check this first quarter out. And when I tell you, this man Luka came out and he already like. He had decided to finish ahead of time, James. Like, this man came out here and was like, threes. I'm shaking all you off me. I'm backing you down. There's nothing they can do with this man. Like, nothing.
Like the one when he posted up Aiden from like base from the top of the free throw line, like down to like 13 feet or probably like 12 feet, and then like hit the turnaround over the top one. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen somebody like do that to somebody that good defensively at center. That's weird. That's that, you know, that's like has that big of a size mismatch. It was weird. And I was like, you know, whatever. Like maybe, you know, like Aiden all throughout the postseason got put, or not throughout the postseason, but in this series got like put in weird positions with Luka. So it's like maybe he was seeing ghosts, was like, I can't like, you know, put too much force on him, otherwise he's gonna get by me on for, you know, lay it in, whatever else. But like that was embarrassing because you watch it and without context, you're like, did he just muscle a center, an NBA center? He didn't, but it looked like it.
They've wanted to just hand everything to Chris Paul for years and years about, you know, where he's at on the all-time list and all that. And I would get real pissed when I hear, you know, people talking about the best point guard ever and, you know, forgetting people like Magic Johnson existed and Isaiah Thomas existed. Like, no, like Steph Curry doesn't exist at the same goddamn time. Like, no, like, stop this. He's never winning as the best player on a team ever. He should go probably sign up for one of those Gary Payton rings, you know, see if you can latch on somewhere, you know, figure it out, whatever you got to do.
Nah,
if you want to keep,
he ain't doing that.
You know, if you want to keep coming out in this league, and then when the time May and June comes up, you coming up lame, like we've seen this movie before, and it has multiple chapters. Like, fire this man up. Like,
you know what I'm worried about? Like, if you do the like loyal, you know, get him in a situation where he's just a luxury and then you baby him. Like, I'm worried that like he ends up like that 2014 Wade thing, where it's like you did all this fucking coddling and he still breaks down on you in the finals. You know, do you remember that? Like, he played like 50 games that year. Yes. LeBron doesn't know when. LeBron has no idea when when he's coming in and out. Like, he's finding out like in like an hour before the game that Wade's not going to play and shit like that. And then like he looks perfectly fine throughout the first 3 rounds, and then the finals happen. It's almost like a fucking vampire sucked his essence out of him. It's like, what the fuck just happened here? And like, I feel like if you're in a situation where you're that desperate enough to go get Chris Paul at this point now going forward in the rest of his career, then like, nah, man, like he's gonna lay it down to you at some point, some stretch. Like the veganism shit, I got a cousin named Alex. He's a vegan, and like he always like anytime anybody,
maybe he needs some meat for them bones.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, you talk about like the veganism has extended its prime, and maybe it has extended its prime, but he still fucking breaks down at the most crucial time every time you need him. It don't matter. It don't matter.
You know, within minutes, you know, he was coming out with the injury, you know, immediately out of that LeBron handcast playbook. We just talking about how tired Chris Paul is. Nobody's allowed to criticize this man. Nobody's allowed to say anything bad about this guy. Pat Bev got on TV and tuned this man up, and I don't like being on the side of Pat Bev, but unfortunately,
especially because he out there lying his ass off too. You don't believe it? Hey, serious question, right? Do we have, because we got to talk about the fucking Matt Barnes part of it too. So, all right, let's go. Let's talk about that part. I only saw one or two things. What all did he say?
One more thing for Chris Paul. I don't appreciate this, by the way. These niggas were down 40 points. 40 points. And this is a big contention of like the reason why I've never really gravitated towards Chris Paul, because I felt like some of the stats is fake. Like, they were monkey stats. Like, they were down 40 points. He had one single point midway through the third quarter, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter he wanted to start shooting to try to get to 10 points. Like, why were you in the game at all? like to get to 10 points and
I
to
turned it
shoot
off. I have no idea what happened.
to shoot 50% from the floor. He was 4 for 8. Me and Kirby were laughing, like seeing what's going on. Like this was some bullshit that he was doing at the end of that game, and he should be called out for it. And the Suns like completely like imploded in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime for a team at home in Game 7. New grounds being broken here.
I'd have to go to I have to look up something on like Basketball Reference to try to gauge. Like I don't recall any home team in a Game 7 like just completely like just.
Look, I've seen plenty of Laker blowout losses. Autumn just be on the road, like in like Game 6 or something like that. Like there's never no, hey, we showing up, chips on the line, everything else. One shot left, and they came out here and they had nothing. And the game, the final score does not even indicate how close that was. I think
they lost by like 30.
Yeah, and it was more like they were down at 46 at one point.
Yeah, and I don't even and like apparently there was some shit that's going on with Aiden and Monty Williams like people are roughly talking about, but not like referencing what the fuck's actually going on with them. And like it's like what is going on? I have no idea. Yeah, so the Pat Bev part.
Oh, so he basically called that man a cone. He said Chris Paul can't guard anybody anymore. The whole league knows it. This is stuff the players talk about, but like, no one on TV actually picks up on. He said, what do we do for guys like that? Like it's a cone, like you dribble around it. What does the cone do? It don't move, essentially. He said he loses no sleep over Chris Paul. Like when he's preparing, like, if he had to play, Chris Paul the next day, he don't care. He gonna go get him some wine. He gonna have a steak and he gonna sweat it out before in the shoot around. But Steph Curry, he's gonna tell his lady not to hit him up. He's going to sleep early. He's all that when he's facing somebody like Steph.
Mm-hmm. And there's keep in mind, like this is the same like Chris Paul he's talking about that tuned his ass up for 40 something and eliminated him last year in the playoffs. So like that's why like I'm just laughing at like this stuff because like one, I don't know if you know this, and I didn't want to say this because it's not like I don't want to like to let people know that like Santa Claus is not real, but it's like Pat Bev was on JJ Redick's podcast this year and talked about like how Pat Bev was like in one of them Chris Paul camps, mm-hmm. and like he's known Chris Paul for forever, and like he loves Chris Paul, and Chris Paul has helped him out in this and the third. Like he's been full on gimmick mode, like trying to get this job as media because he knows at the end of his days. So like the whole time I know what's going on, and like or whatever else. And then like he talked about like with the push thing was like I pushed him because I was frustrated with whatever else, and I apologized after the fact. He talked about all that, right? So for me, like. I know all of this, and like he's doing this, and like I guess people don't really know that like he's in full gimmick, so he's going off and doing this. So I'm like, it's funny, whatever. It's funny.
Like, he don't believe the Ben Simmons slander,
right? It's funny. He don't. One is funny. Two, he don't believe a single word of it. Three, if you know anything, he's full on gimmick. So like I'm enjoying it, like because it's like he's kicking somebody while he's at that like embarrassed of a national television, right? So I'm like, whatever. So then Matt Barnes comes after him later ESPN programming and was like, "You're a role player. Chris Paul will be remembered forever as one of the all-time great players or whatever else. First Battle Hall of Famer. Just had a third. Like you were more like me. You're a role player in the league. Chris Paul had an awful series by his standards, and even by these shitty standards that he set in this series, like these numbers that he had are still better than your career numbers." And I was like, okay, so like. How come I know it's a joke, but Matt Barnes knows it's a joke? Like I was at least trying to have some fun out of like the shit, out of the misery this was for me as a Chris Paul fan to watch, and like and then Matt Barnes is like, no, we can't talk about Chris Paul like this. Yeah, we can. This awful.
Exactly why. Look, that is a perfect example of why people like me and the lead nations of motherfuckers be on people's ass about you're not allowed to talk about Chris Paul like this. Like why? Why can't we talk about him?
I think the thing is like quite frankly, nobody because I feel like it's a us versus them mentality thing and the fraternity where it's like there's all these fucking shows where Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith spend a great chunk of their day talking about what someone didn't do because they're not fucking Jesus on wheels or Jesus in sneakers. And like they all feel like outside of, you know, the rivalry that is, we got to go through these people and play them for 2 weeks to get to where we want to go. Outside of that, it's just pleasantries and say whatever, but then like say to people behind the scenes how they really feel about each other and actually really be competitive. So I think the part where it's like it's been so long since somebody actually came out and slandered another NBA player to NBA player, and like you kind of got these new dudes that are like I don't mean that pejoratively, but like these like the guys like the Grizzlies and like Ant Edwards that are just like they say what they feel and they don't really care and they're not really saying nothing like problematic. It's just like, you know, I don't like this dude, he's in my way. I'm gonna say I don't like this dude, he's in my way, as opposed to kind of being like, yeah, he's great. You know, we're gonna compete.
The young
So
was celebrating
yeah,
so demise.
So I think the thing is like the league has been so buttoned up about that for, you know, I don't know, last 20 years that it's kind of like somebody, you know, wow, somebody's really going back to this. That feels weird. And like, you know, Matt Barnes is a part of that guard where like we didn't talk about this, like this, you know, it's in the fraternity, like we don't really talk about this. So like
that
it's kind of like you're trying to check him out. But the thing with Pat Bev is like, one, he's a fucking ridiculous person, and two, like we know he thinks like, you know, I'm gonna come up here and say some bullshit. Y'all know I don't really mean this. And so I think like the part where it's kind of like, you know, and also it's like because he's so, you know, stick around the league, he's so immature, like he kind of gravitates to the young dudes. That's why him and Edwards get together or like get along so well. It's like, oh, so you're a grown ass man that hangs out with 22-year-olds. I get it. This makes so much sense now. Like it makes so much sense. That's why y'all get along so well. Like you figured out how to stick around this league by being like this kind of like immature risk taker that's okay with injuring people, but like, so you're cool. So the 22-year-old gets it because he don't know no damn better. Okay, gotcha. Makes perfect sense now. So, but yeah, Matt Barnes coming out being the adult. It was like I get the feel why you feel you need to be an adult, but like, nah, it's not that serious, man. It's not that serious. It's not.
I tell you, let this man get tuned up.
You
know, let him get tuned up. So I don't know what happens with Phoenix going forward. They have a lot of things to figure out as far as DeAndre Ayton and his pay.
Well, but it's not just Ayton. It's like all them dudes are coming up. Like, okay, they already paid Bridges. Chris Paul took a pay cut to try to make the luxury tax less painful for Sarver, who's notoriously cheap. Devin Booker is like 2 years away from, or I think he's eligible for the max right now, like, or this summer. He should get it. If not, then he's gonna be like, get me the fuck out of here probably in 2 years. Or it's a countdown to that. Chris is 37.
Look, and
36. No, 36, 37. So like
37. Yeah.
Yeah. So like with, you know, like Bridges already got paid. So it's like that team realistically is not going to be able to stay together.
Look, they might be done. Grand opening,
grand closing. Not might be. This was their last shot. The only way they were going to stay together. The only way they were going to stay together is if they had won a title this year, and then like you look at Sarver and be like, "You gonna break up a championship team? You fucking moron."
Exactly. Look, Robert Sarver has shown you that he will break this shit down like Degeneration X at the first sign of like that he's able to.
Oh yeah,
this is a cursed franchise,
generationally cheap.
Look, this is a cursed franchise. They've never won. I hate the Phoenix Suns as a staff record label and a crew for the mid 2000s.
Bro, think of that Suns team from that era, right? They traded the draft pick that turned out to be Rajon Rondo. They didn't pay Joe Johnson to come back. It's ruined Steve Nash's career. Ruined Amari Stoudemire's career. Ruined Sean Marion's career. Marion. Yeah, like just you know, just always cheap. You know, so yeah. Boris Diaw, yeah, go to the Bobcats. Go get fat. We're not going to pay you.
Let's make a quick turn to the East.